Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a super exciting video. I'm going to be going through all the books I've read so far this year, and I'm also going to do the mid-year freakout tag. I'm going to leave the questions in the description box below that are part of the tag. There is 33 books that I've read this year so far. Let's just get into it. I have like two huge piles. I can't carry them all because I keep dropping them, as you can see over there. The first book that I read this year was Girl in Pieces by Colleen Hoover. This was really good. I really liked it, but like it was like so dark that it left me really like, drained after. There's a load of trigger warnings, just so you know. I think I gave this 4 stars or it's like 3.5, but yeah. Check it out if you want to, but just take care for the trigger warnings. Next is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was really good. I did really like this. I think I gave this 4 stars as well. If you've read the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you would be familiar with Mick Riva, and this is about Mick Riva's family, like his kids and stuff. Nina Riva is the main girl in this. It gives really like Hollywood vibes, so if that's what you're into, I think it's a really good summer book. I would recommend this. Next book was Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. I don't know how to pronounce this. So this was really good. Basically this girl dies, and that's how the start, so don't worry. But basically she like kind of goes missing. Well, they find her. Wow, I'm explaining this all. See, this was really good, but I can't fully remember all of it. I know that the girl dies and they're all trying to figure out how. She was like this perfect angel daughter, and then she dies, so we're just trying to figure out why that happened. Basically, it's a really good book. I'd recommend. I really need to not go into detail in all these books because this is going to be like 3 million hours long, so I'm just gonna go through these a bit faster. I will go into more detail in the tag part of this video. Next book is Time is a Mother by Ocean Vuong. I love On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This is actually a poetry collection, so if that's your thing, then I would highly recommend. Next up, If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I loved this book so much, 5 stars. It is a YA book. There's a sequel coming out, I think, later this year. I cannot wait. I really recommend this book. It is quite sad, so obviously check it out before you read it, but I would highly recommend. If you're gonna read it, you should kind of prepare yourself that it is kind of angsty and whatever, but yeah, I'd highly recommend. Next up, we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I'm so glad that I picked it up. It was so cute. This is a YA book as well. This book is really good. She keeps reliving Valentine's Day over and over. I was looking for a cute little fun book, and that's what I got. So if that's what you're looking for, I highly recommend this book and any of Lynn Painter's books. Next up, I have The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. I loved this book. I didn't want to read this for ages. I just didn't think I'd like it. I thought it was going to be really cringy, and like obviously it kind of was, you know, but I know some people hate this book and some people love this book. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend. It's just a really cute book. Fake dating, they have to go on a honeymoon but they're not dating, all that stuff. There's a bit of miscommunication in it, which kind of annoyed me, but if you're looking for an easy book, especially for like going away on holidays or like going to the beach, I'd highly recommend. It was really cute. Alright, next book was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is actually really cute. Similarly to The Honeymooners, I kind of didn't want to read this for ages. I just didn't think I'd like it. I thought this was really good. It wasn't the best book I've ever read, but I still enjoyed it. I didn't kind of hate it. I didn't want to throw the book across the room. So in my books, that's a win. Fake dating, again, it's kind of women in STEM vibes, and that's just not me, so I didn't think I'd like it, and I did. I really enjoyed it. It was actually kind of like fun to read about. So yeah, if you don't really know if you're gonna like it but you like romance, I'd give it a go. It was really cute. Next book we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I adored this book. It was so cute. I've talked about this a bunch of times on my channel. This is my favourite book by her. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend. Okay, moving on. Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I loved this book. It was so good. Also, I'm like so out of order in these books. I'm not really going by month. I'm just picking them up out of my pile. But yeah, I loved this book. Their romance was so good. Their love felt so realistic, and I felt like I just got to know the characters and got to love them. They weren't these like perfect characters, and I loved that about them. So I'd recommend this one for sure. Okay, next up we have Miss Colleen Hoover. I have 6 books by her. So starting off, I read Hopeless, loved it, really good, talked about it in loads of my videos. And this is a little series, so I read Hopeless, Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, and Finding Perfect. The first 2 are main characters' stories. One from Sky's point of view, this one, and one from Holder's point of view. I loved them more, I think, when I first read them. The more I thought about it, there was a few little problematic bits that I didn't love, but it was still really good. Probably my favourite books by her, which, you know, is great because I didn't really like ugly love and stuff like that, so yeah. These are both little novellas. This one is about Holder's best friend and a little romance that he has, and then this one kind of wraps up all their stories. Then I read Verity. Verity was really good. I liked it a lot. Read it in like a day because I just wanted to find out what was going on, and yeah, it was crazy. I'd really recommend it. I feel like if you've read a lot of thriller books, like really good thriller books, you're not going to be that like blown away, but if you haven't, and I hadn't read thrillers in a while, so I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it if you want to give it a go. The final Colleen Hoover book was Without Merit. I enjoyed Without Merit a lot. I think it's a really underrated book by her. Their family dynamic is insane. Like, the politics in this family is just something else. But I loved that. There's so much drama. It's a romance, but I think it's also a lot about family relationships and also like mental health and like things like that. And yeah, highly recommended it. Next one, I'm not going to say much about it because you've probably either read it or you don't want to hear about it because you don't ever want to read it, but this is New Moon. I had read the Twilight books before, but I reread them because I was just really finding it hard to read anything during like the really stressful like college semester, so I picked this up because I knew it was easy and I loved it. I love Twilight. The books are so good. If you've only seen the movies, like, give the books a go, because I actually really like the movies now that I read the book, but before that, the movies, I was kind of like, what's going on? And then I read the books, and then I got it. So yeah, I'm gonna not talk about it anymore, but if you want to try it, do it. I love them. They're really good. Okay, last few physical books, and then there's a couple on my Kindle. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. All of her books, there's a video already up of me going into detail with all of them, so I'll just show you which ones that I read. I loved all of them. They were all either 4.75 or 5 stars. Amazing. My favourite author. I love her so much. So I read Book Lovers, Happy Place, which of course her brand new book. I read You and Me on Vacation, my first book that I read by her, but each read, loved it, love all her books, amazing. Then I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I adored this book. It was so good. I recommend everyone reads this. I heard it's a lot like One True Loves, but I have not read that yet. It's childhood friends to lovers. It's like goes back in time for chapters and in present time. Amazing, read it. 5 stars, so good. So good. My last physical book so far this year was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I finished this last night. I literally stayed up so late just to finish it because it was so good, and there was one part near the end, there was like about 100 pages left, where I could not go to sleep and leave it at that because I was so annoyed. I needed it resolved. There's a part in it, if you've read it, you know that I'm rooting for our boy. If you've read it, you know, the whole time. And no, that bit I just couldn't leave it, and I loved this book. I kind of think like 4.75 or 5 stars, but I feel like I've been giving a lot of book 5 stars recently. For now, I loved this 5 stars in the context of a YA cheesy little book. Those are all the physical books. Moving on to my Kindle, I read Flawless by Elsie Silver, the first in the Chestnut Spring series. I loved this book. It was so good. 4 stars. It's kind of a cowboy bull riding romance. It's been everywhere. I've seen it everywhere, and I'm really glad that I read it. I also read the second one, Heartless, and that was so good. I loved that even more than the first one. I adored it. 4.5, 5 maybe. I adored it. Didn't think I'd really like the trope at all, because single dad trope and like babysitter trope. I also read the first book in the Selection series by Kira Cass. I really liked it. It's a YA dystopian book, which I don't always read. The vibes were so good. I also read the first book in the Mind Book series, and it was good. I need to continue it. There's like 7 books, but they're all like 100 or less than 100 pages, so I have to get on that. I also read Evidence the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's a really short kind of novella short story, and I really liked this. There isn't really much to say about it, but it was good and I recommend it. The last book that I read so far was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I thought this was really good. It was a really different story, which I liked. I wasn't expecting it. It's about this girl who has just come out of prison. Yeah, I don't know how to not spoil it. She is looking for her daughter, who's being minded by her ex-boyfriend, her late boyfriend's parents, and I liked it a lot. It was a quick read. I read it super fast. If you were thinking of reading it, I would recommend that you should. It's quite sad, but with all these books, check the trigger warnings just in case, and yeah. Okay, so moving on to the book tag portion of this video. There's been videos of it all over my recommended page. Let's just get into it. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2023, and that has to be Happy Place by Emily Henry. If you want to see me go into detail on this, it is in my reading all Emily Henry books for a week video, which I put up. It was like 2 videos before this one, and I adored it. 5 stars. I would recommend everybody to read this. It was amazing. Next one is the best sequel you've read so far this year. I don't have the physical copy because I read it on my Kindle. It's from the Chestnut Spring series, and it is Heartless. So good. I really recommend this. As I said earlier when I did my little wrap up, it was so good. Highly recommend that one. Next book is new release that I haven't read yet but want to, and that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I think this is going to be so good. I've heard loads about it. I'm gonna read it on my Kindle if I get the chance, hopefully in the next month or 2. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into it. I haven't read any of her books yet, and I've heard nothing but good things. So yeah. Next up is most anticipated book for the second half of the year. So a book that's being released in the next 6 months, and would probably be either the second book following If You Had Been With Me, which I talked about earlier with Finn's point of view, or the next book. I know there is another book coming out soon in the Chestnut Spring series, so I'm very excited for that one also. Next is the biggest surprise of 2023, and I think Every Summer After, or any Emily Henry book actually, because I didn't think I'd like them, and she's now my favourite author. So probably any Emily Henry book, biggest surprise. Then I have favourite new author that is new to me or new to everyone. For me, that is Emily Henry. Again, won't go into it. My favourite. I love her. Next up is a book that made me cry, and there was a few of those books this year. I keep repeating these books. Actually, if we're switching it up, another book that made me cry was One True Loves by Christina Lauren. And also, I actually don't cry that much in books. It sounds like I cry at every book, but these were all just kind of emotional. Also Girl in Pieces, which I wasn't expecting. I think it was just so, like, there was so much emotions. It was giving me like YA A Little Life. Like, there was just so much trauma that she was just throwing in there. And yeah, I ate it up. So, you know. A book that made me happy would have been kind of any of the Lynn Painter books, and also Every Summer After. I love the vibes of that. And all of Emily Henry books. They all made me happy. Better Than the Movies and The Do-Overs. They made me happy. Next is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. That book has to be Daisy Hates. I have not read this yet. I need to read this, but all of her covers are stunning. If I had Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, I think that's what it's called. It's stunning, but I don't have that. So, this book. I think it's so beautiful, and I know that with all her books, the covers like tie into the kind of contents in the book. So I'm really excited to kind of figure out the meaning of all these things. I know some people hate these, but the detail. I don't really like the cover for A Long Way Home because I feel like I'm reading like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. And finally, books that I need to read by the end of this year. In my head, like, I need to read a load of books, but I think my most highly anticipated books, the ones I really want to read that I have on my shelves or I have on my Kindle, would be the rest of the Magnolia Park series. I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I would like to start the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, and also continue on with the Chestnut Spring series. Obviously, there is an abundance of books that I would love to get through this year, but those few are probably the ones I'm most excited to get into, so I can't wait to give them all a go, and I really hope that I get to them all. But yeah, that's the end of the tag, and that's my wrap up. Today's video is definitely a long one, so if you stuck around, thank you. That, you know, that took commitment. I hope you had a snack and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed filming today's video. It was a nice chill one, and yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe or comment to let me know, and yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.